They're here with an unnecessarily and pointless remake. Anyway, hey there guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here with another movie review and another intro that just had to be done, guys. I'm sorry. But anyway, guys, in this video, I am going to be reviewing the 2015 horror remake film called Poltergeist. That's right, guys. Two films came out this past weekend in the theaters, one of which most of you saw, which was Tomorrowland, and another little horror remake called Poltergeist also was released in the theaters this past weekend. I just got to see Poltergeist this past today, Tuesday. I went on Bargain Tuesday. I decided to wait to save my money because let's be completely honest here, I was dreading this movie. Gonna be honest. But anyway, guys, as I said earlier in the video, Poltergeist, this is not an original film. I'm sure many of you film buffs and horror movie fans especially know that this is not the first time you have heard the name Poltergeist before. There was a film that was released in 1982 with the same name, and that film is Poltergeist. This is the original Poltergeist. This is a remake. I do own the original on Blu-ray. I actually just got it because I kind of enjoyed this movie. It was directed by Tobe Hooper. And, yeah, it's pretty damn entertaining. I remember watching it when I was a kid. I went to the video store with my parents and we rented it on VHS. I watched it one Saturday night. It freaked the hell out of me. As a kid, I loved the first Poltergeist for the most part. It wasn't a perfect horror movie. It's not one of my favorites of all time. But it's a pretty damn, it's a pretty darn entertaining one. For that, right. But anyway, guys, yes, they remade Poltergeist. They've done it with Halloween. They've done it with Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. The list goes on and on and on. They just did it with Carrie. Every one of your favorite horror movie remakes that has been done, they're going to remake it, okay? Saw. I have a Saw poster over here. It's coming, all right? They're going to remake Saw. They're going to remake Insidious one day. All the classics that we know from, like, the 2000s, it's going to happen. Just wait for it, guys. In a couple years. But anyway, yes, Poltergeist. I set my expectations pretty low for this one, guys. I was not really anticipating this movie because I just felt right when they announced that they were remaking it, I said to myself, why do we need a Poltergeist remake? Is it really that necessary? Really? I said the same thing multiple times with the Halloween and all those that I just mentioned, but now we're getting a Poltergeist one because money. Anyway, guys, so Poltergeist, if you've never seen the original 1982 version, if you've never even heard of this movie or seen the terrible trailer that spoils everything, by the way, if you do want to watch this movie, don't watch the trailers, please. But, Poltergeist, basically, there is a family that moves into a brand new suburban house. The father in this movie is played by Sam Rockwell. The mother is played by Rosemarie DeWitt. They have 3 children, one teenage daughter named Kendra, two younger children, one named Griffin and the other named Maddie, a young boy and girl. And they move into this new house in this very odd suburban neighborhood with all the same colored houses. It's weird. And of course, haunted things, weird things start happening. They start to get haunted, and they think it's by a ghost or something like that. Little do they know, they come to realize it's a poltergeist that is bothering them. A bunch of angry, mean spirits that are pretty pissed off for some specific reason that is spoiled in the trailers and the TV spots. I'm not going to say what it is. And then after one of the family members is taken by this entity, these spirits, this poltergeist, they have to reach out to people. The family has to reach out to people to get that missing family member back. And that, my friends, is Poltergeist. Now, again, with the first Poltergeist that came out in 1982, it's not like it was groundbreaking. I think for the most part, the effects and everything were groundbreaking. I don't know if the story per se was. That honestly is probably one of the first original ghost story movies, to be completely honest. Because then, we've had knockoffs, and now we have a bunch of ghost movies that you could just name them. You can pick a bunch of them out of a hat, throw names of them in a hat, and just pick them. Paranormal Activity movies, Insidious. The list goes on and on. And now, Poltergeist was sort of like laid the foundation for ghost movies. It had some pretty amazing effects that I don't think anybody had ever seen. The way they achieved certain shots and everything in that movie, it was amazing. And of course, they pulled off several amazing tricks with the camera. And that is what made the first Poltergeist really stand out. Not only was it extremely well acted by all of the actors involved, but it had a very interesting story that unraveled and unraveled more and more as you got into it, and you couldn't help but asking yourself, why is this family being haunted? With this movie, the same thing happens, but they basically tell you what happens or why everything is happening in the first 30 minutes of the movie. Yeah, and then it just isn't as excitement. This movie, that's the one thing that's missing from this Poltergeist remake. Yes, this movie is not good, okay? I'm just going to come out and say it. I did not like this Poltergeist remake. I did not think I was going to like this Poltergeist remake. I will say this much, though. This movie was significantly better than I thought it was going to be, because I walked into this theater with little to no expectations, but I seriously thought this was going to be shit pile of the year. I'm not kidding you. I hated all the trailers for this movie. I hated all the TV spots. Not only were they just replayed over and over and over again on TV, and it was starting to piss me off, but I mean, it just looked terrible, and I just didn't want to go see this movie. I was really dreading it. It is nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. That being said, it's not even close to the original, and definitely one of the weaker horror films we have had in a very long time. We've had a couple of decent ones recently. We had The Babadook, which was pretty decent, and we had It Follows, which was pretty darn good as well. No, this doesn't even compare. It's just a generic, bland remake that just is lacking, as I said earlier, excitement. That is what Poltergeist, this remake, is lacking. It's excitement. Nothing in this movie, none of the performances are just so mind-blowing or anything like that. You just gotta say, yeah, I care about this character. And it's not just the performance, it's also, you could blame it on the script. Characters aren't, you don't really care about this family per se. I never latched on to this family. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was casting and if some certain actors were miscast, which I'll get into. I don't know what it is, but I just feel that the thrills and the excitement that the first Poltergeist had and all the unexpected turns that that movie brought was just so unbelievable. You just didn't know what was going to happen next, and it just blew your mind away, the first Poltergeist. Now we have this remake, and you're just saying to yourself, okay, he's going to look at a reflection of himself, and he's going to see his face falling apart, and because that was in the original. Does that happen in this movie? I was waiting for it to happen. Yes, it does. There's a scene in the first movie that I'm going to elaborate on in regards to this movie. I'm just going to say it right here. Why not? Proof that the original is better. The original is better than the remake. There is a shot in this film where the wife, I can't remember her name. I'm drawing a blank. Beatrice Straight, I guess is her name. I don't know. The actress who plays the wife is tending to the breakfast table and whatever, and all the chairs of the kitchen table are pushed out. All right, this is all one shot. She pushes them all in the same shot. The camera pans and follows her as she goes into a cabinet, puts something in or takes something out, gets back up and walks over to the table. The camera, we haven't cut yet. The camera goes back, pans back to the table. The chairs are all stacked up on top of the table. She screams. That is beautiful. Genius horror filmmaking, in my opinion. That is how you do it, guys. That is how you create thrills and scares in the audience. You don't cut anything. You keep everything in the same shot. You blow the audience away with something they don't expect. That is not the case in this movie. You literally see nearly every attempt at a scare they tried to make coming from a mile away. And all the scares that were, or all of the creepy moments that were in the first movie are all pretty much ripped off of the original movie. And they're in this movie, just reproduced and reimagined in a slightly different way, but nothing is all that exciting or memorable for that matter. And that's why this Poltergeist doesn't succeed. Now, ultimately, you can just blame it on the fact that it's a sequel, and, or not a sequel, excuse me, a remake, and remakes never make the original films better, and they don't. But then why do we have them? It's for money, and that's why I will continue to steer you guys away from these sequels that aren't bad and don't reinvent the franchise in some different way. They could have definitely not... I was glad they didn't do like a shot-for-shot remake of the original Poltergeist. I was really glad they didn't do that because that's just copying. But if you're gonna make a remake of a good horror movie, then why don't you change it up? Think of a new scare that you can introduce into this remake, thus getting a new fan base. All the people who watch this movie nowadays, I don't think they're gonna get scared. I don't think they're gonna feel terrified or anything. And that is why Poltergeist and a handful of the other remakes that come out nowadays just don't work. It's because they take the same scares, they try to reproduce them, they change a few minor details, and it just doesn't work. You see it coming from a mile away, especially if you've seen the original. Even if I think you haven't seen the original, I think you could walk into this film and not jump once. And yes, every single moment, there is a moment where I jumped in the movie. Why? A jump scare early on. I should have called it, though, because it was early on in the movie. Someone's looking in a blank part of the house, and then someone comes behind him and opens the door, and then there you go, jump scare. Alright, it's just, nothing about it is fresh or exciting or horrifying for that matter. It's just bland, it's generic. We've seen it before with the original Poltergeist, and that is why the scares in most of the scenes in this Poltergeist just don't work, in my opinion. I mean, had they done things with the camera, I mean, in comparison with that moment where the chairs stack on top of themselves in the first Poltergeist, in this movie, the young boy, something happens to him similar to what happened to the mother in the original Poltergeist. He goes into a room, he hears a noise or whatever, and there's several cuts, and then it cuts to him looking at a lot of things stacked on top of each other. Obviously, it's the Poltergeist thing freaking him out, trying to freak him out and make him, you know, be scared shitless. We all saw that coming, and it's not scary because they had cuts in there. They didn't hold on the same shot. They would have had the same exact shot. It would have been much more scary. It would have freaked everybody out. But they gotta throw cuts in there, and it doesn't work. And then they just use crappy effects. But they actually stack chairs on top of each other in the original Poltergeist. I'm just using that as an analogy to compare the original to the remake, and it's a good analogy because that is a scene that works in that movie. Most of the scenes in this movie just do not work. Really briefly, guys, get into the performances. I thought the child acting was actually really good from both the little girl and the young boy. I thought both of them were excellent in the film. They really conveyed fear, and that's what I was looking for. I was like, yeah, the director's got to make these kids scared. They look scared to me, and I bought it. I thought if a kid would go to see this movie, and the kid would see these kids scared, the kid himself would get scared, because that's a kid, okay, and he can connect with those two characters. So I think the filmmaker did a great job with those two actors. Rosemarie DeWitt and Sam Rockwell, although they are good actors on their own right, they are terribly miscast in this movie. Sam Rockwell is just the type of guy, I love Sam Rockwell, don't get me wrong. He's the type of guy, he's like he has like the taken back sort of attitude, sort of like sarcastic attitude, you know. He's like the let loose, hang loose type of guy, you know, I'm not going to worry about this, I'm not going to worry about that. That's not the type of character that we need for this film. I felt in some scenes he needed to be more alarmed and more frightened than he was. There's a moment when the one family member that goes missing, and he's comforting his wife. She starts breaking down in tears because they lost that certain person. And he's just like, it's all right, calm down. Why are you not freaking out? You just lost so-and-so. Okay, I don't want to spoil anything. I just didn't buy into it. And Rosemarie DeWitt, she didn't give me that motherly, you know, protective feeling that I felt with the actress who played the mother in the original Poltergeist, okay? It's just, I felt both were just not cast that well. Even the guy who comes in, who's like the Poltergeist expert who comes in the movie, Jared Harris played him in the movie. I don't know, it's just, it wasn't as impressive as the woman who played the midget woman in Poltergeist. I mean, it was just, no, it was completely different. I just dropped my copy of Poltergeist on Blu-ray. Oh well. Anyway, guys, yeah, that's really all I have to say, but were you guys expecting this to be good? I don't think you were. Guys, I'm going to give Poltergeist a 6.75 out of 10, or a grade of a D+. It just could have been better. I think they really, had they sat down and literally figured out a way to reinvent this film and make it different from the first one, but making it scary, maybe by holding on certain shots, having longer takes instead of cuts, I think they really could have had a good movie with this Poltergeist remake. I mean, we've had remakes that have worked. This is one of the ones that just doesn't. I'm sorry, you just don't feel the thrills, you don't feel anything, nothing's scary, nothing's creepy. The effects are good, the camera work is good for the most part, and the child acting is good, but other than that, there's really nothing else good that really comes out of this movie, and that's ultimately why I just wasn't a fan of Poltergeist. So guys, What did you think of the 2015 Poltergeist remake? Let me know down below in the comments. What do you think of the 1982 Poltergeist? I think that is a good movie. I don't think it is perfect, but I think they could have done something different for this generation of horror fans, but they didn't. I just don't think they've succeeded. So thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate it. Oh, guys, check out my short film, my freshman film, my short film. I finally posted it. A link to it is somewhere in this video. A link to my new short film titled A New World is up. The film is not on my channel. It's on another channel, my filmmaking channel. I'll leave a link to the film or a video on this channel to that film. You'll find it. I really encourage you guys to check it out. I'd really appreciate that. And thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Check out that film. And don't check out Poltergeist. It's not that great. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.